Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. This is the members area. It's a member show on this Monday night, the 7th of October. It's myself, Gav. It's Kev. We're going to have a look back at the weekend's football and some breaking news today with regards to Man City, the Premier League, and all that sort of messing. I'm going to say in advance, if I cough and splutter and sneeze my way through this, I apologise. I've woken up today with a mad head cold. So I'm just letting you know in advance. I don't want any fucking people getting on going, I couldn't hear it and you were sneezing and all. Fuck off, right? I'm doing my best. Kev, another eventful weekend of football before we get on to the Man City stuff and that. But another eventful weekend of football with regards to results, players, everything else. You covered Liverpool straight after the game on Saturday. We covered Liverpool again last night and done a little bit looking forward. But I want to touch on some other clubs. And if you're in the chat, throw in whatever you want us to talk about. And, we can talk about that. Chris Brack wants us to knock the football on the head and just talk about crisps and biscuits. We'll see. But Kev, I want to talk about your favourite person in the world, from your favourite country in the world, and that, of course, is Ange Postecoglou and Spurs. They go away to Brighton yesterday. They're 2-0 up after 25-ish minutes, 35 minutes, and you're looking going, that could be a really good result for them. Brighton are very, very decent. And we're in 20 minutes of the second half, 25 minutes, I think, of the second half, starting 68 minutes, I think. They're 3-2 down, and they've lost the game. And I had a little look into this. I watched the game. I watched some of it. And I had a look into this, Kev. And they talk about Spurs being Spursy and, all that sort of thing. And that's the title of our show. But what is this fella up to, Kev?
I don't know. Look, I have to confess, I only watched the second half. I missed the first half. By all accounts, in the first half, they were really good.
Yeah.
Brendan Johnson is a live wire on the right. He's really quick. Got his goal. I think he's something like 4-4 now, or 5-5, or something like that. He's having a blinder of a season. Madison chipped in with one as well. They go in at halftime 2-0. And I swear to God, it doesn't matter who the manager is. There's DNA in that club that no matter what they do, no matter what they throw at the wall, they'll win the odd cup here and there.
No, they won't. They haven't won that since 2009.
No. But I mean, in their history.
I'm going to guess the 2009 League Cup was the last trophy they won. I could be wrong.
I can remember the 81, the 91. Remember that thing?
Where I can remember 91 when they beat Arsenal in the semi-final, Gascoigne.
I can remember Ricky Villa's goal.
Well, I can't because I was born in 82.
But I can remember watching Match of the Day, and I can remember watching that Match of the Day. That's how long I've been watching, in and around watching Spurs. And they're probably, you look at them and it's like, they're someone's kid brother. They're an inoffensive little club that will try really hard, that have a Spurs way of playing. It's as open, attractive, attacking football. Produced some good players over the years. Some really, really good players. But they'll never be a serious club. They'll not with the way... I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his inability to set up a side to be ruthless or to manage the game within the 90 minutes. I think that's his biggest problem.
That's where I'm coming from, right? Spurs go out there yesterday, right? And don't get me wrong, they go to United last week, they win 3-0. United are appalling. Spurs are good, right?
Yeah.
But United are absolutely appalling. They're down to 10 men for some of the game and stuff. And you're looking and you're saying to yourself, it's suited them. Their lineup suited them. But when I look at their lineup, right, and I'm just, it wasn't so much. It was a bit of their lineup, but it was what happened later. So they start with their back four of Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, and Porro. Right, Porro I like, actually, really like him.
I'm convinced he's nothing but a wing back.
Well,
I don't think he's a good defender.
I think he's good. I think he's a good player. Then you've Bentancur, Kulusevski, and Madison, and then you have Johnson, Werner, and Solanke. So fair enough, right? That's your team, right?
Yeah.
They go 2-0 up, right? They go 2-0 up. They're really good. When you look at the amount of shots they have away from home, it's 13. They get just 3 on target. They have more passes. They have more successful passes. They have a higher pass succession rate than Brighton. Okay, but the big thing, and you've touched on it there, right? Game management, Kev. right? So let me just run you through the game here from a Spurs point of view. So Spurs lose Adam Webster after about 8 or 9 minutes. Igor comes on. Brennan Johnson scores on 23. Igor gets booked on 34. James Maddison scores on 37, right? Brighton make a change at half time. They bring a Stupinan on for Kadioglu, okay, at left back.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets interesting for me. Now, you have to remember, for me, they have Bentancur, who's a decent player. They have Kulusevski, who's a winger, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they have
100%.
Madison, who's an out-and-out 10, right? He's
Yeah.
not an 8. He's not fucking anything. He's a 10, okay? That's your midfield. You have Werner, who just can't play up front, so he's playing on the left. You have Brennan Johnson, who has 6 and 6, and someone says in the chat there, Ashley, says, Brennan Johnson, 6 and 6, forced to do it since Kane in 2019. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And you have Dom Solanke, massive money signing up front. I've no issue with that. But then, Minta scores on 48, Rudder scores on 58, and Welbeck scores on 66. And through all of this, Spurs decide that they don't need to make a change. They don't need to make a substitution. I'm looking at it here. They don't.
No, I'm just quickly looking to see who his options were.
Right. So let me tell you who their options were. Right. So on the bench for Spurs, you had Sarr, you had Basuma, you had Moore. Them three come on at some stage, right? You have Archie Gray, you have Spence, you have Dragusin, the centre back, you have Bergwell, the midfielder, and you have Lancashire, who's an attacker, very, very young, right?
Yeah.
But he brings on Sarr, he brings on Basuma, and he brings on your man Moore, right? But the thing is, Kev, like, he thinks there's no reason to change this. They've conceded a goal on 48, 58, and 66. They've conceded 3 goals in 18 minutes. And he does nothing to change it. Udogie gets booked, Kulusevski gets booked, right? Brighton make a couple of changes. On 79 minutes, he brings on Yves Basuma for Bentancur, which is a straight swap.
Yeah.
Okay? And then he brings on Pepe Sarr for Timo Werner. Pepe Sarr for me is a midfield player.
He's a central mid, yeah.
Yeah, but they're probably deciding we'll put Pepe Sarr, Yves Basuma in there. We go a bit 4-2-3-1. But they've brought off, then they bring off Maddison with 5 to go. What I'm saying here is, Kev, you're 2-0 up. You're playing well. You're managing the game.
Yeah.
You concede on 48. You concede on 58. And he still makes no changes. He still keeps going with what they have. He goes 3-2 down and then waits a further 14 minutes to make a straight change in Bentancur. Like, I'm not trying to tell the man how to do his job, right? But
someone needs to.
But if that's me, right, and we go 2-1 on 48, I'm saying to myself, don't react immediately. Give it to 55. You see managers doing it all the time.
Yeah.
They have like, they're having loads of the ball. They've momentum. Let's break this momentum, right? Let's go 4-2-3-1. Okay? So we're going to have to whip one of these forwards off. So let's, for argument's sake, take Timo Werner off. Bring on Yves Basuma. Sit him in beside Bentancur. Put Kulusevski on one side. Brennan Johnson on the other. And Maddison behind Solanke. Right? Yeah. And then if you feel like you're losing it a bit more, you take off a Maddison and you bring on a Pepe Sarr and you go really solitary in midfield and you hold it for what you have. Exactly. This guy makes a sub on 79, which is a straight change. A straight change. Like, it's mad to watch, Kev. And you can go on about your tactics and you can go on about how high line you have, and Mickey van der Ven is really fucking fast and your man Romero's massively overrated in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
he's very
Kev,
rash.
When you're watching a game going on there, he literally goes 34 minutes of a second half that they can see 3 goals without making a single fucking change.
But when you go back to it, you look at that starting 11, all right, and you look at what's on the bench. Bear in mind where you're going. Brighton are notorious for keeping the ball. They're very good football side. The bulk of that side have been together for a long time. On the wings, with Karim Mitoma, I think is one of the best wingers in the league. Minta is having a blinder. He's rapid as anything. And he's, because of his age, he doesn't care. You've got Danny Welbeck is a seasoned player now. Danny Welbeck is coming to the twilight of his career, but so good. You know, he just knows his game inside out. And Rutter, I thought he was a flop at Leeds, you know, but at the end of the day, capable, nothing special. You like Belieber. You're really
I do. I
mad
really like him, yeah.
But at the back, Veltman, the best £1 million player I've seen in a long time. Adam Webster comes off, okay. Lewis Dunk, experienced, and Kajaloglu is a very good fullback, and the guy they bring on at half-time is better.
Yeah, stupid. Yeah.
Estupia. So you know at half-time, Estupiñán's coming on, okay, they're going to flood the left side. They're going to flood the left side. What do we have on the left side? Brendan Johnson, Kulusevski, neither of them two can defend for Toffee. And Pedro Porro is not a defender, not in my eyes. Pedro Porro is a wing-back who plays in a five-back. And he's very good going forward. Brilliant going forward because he can go inside and outside.
Yeah.
But he's a wing-back. So you're flooding over that side. That change, tactically, had to be made. He should have been
somewhere between the 48th and 58th minute.
It had to happen. It had to come.
And I'm not saying if you can see it on 48, you just go panic stations, break glass, bring this fella. I'm saying get beyond the goal, get a little bit settled, and on 55 you go, right, 10 minutes is acceptable here. I'm whipping such and such off. And you explain to them, you explain to your player when he's coming off, listen, I'm pulling you off because I have to rejig this. Yeah. And this is what I'm doing.
I mean,
right?
It's the danger should have been as soon as Brighton made the change. Because they have to go for it. They're at home. They have to throw the kitchen sink at it. But the second they score, he should have been telling someone out to go out and warm up.
Yeah.
And they should have been bringing him on within 3 or 4 minutes of that. But he doesn't sense it. And that's what I think his problem is.
Is it a lack of sense in a Kev, or is it sticking to his guns and just regardless of what the outcome is, I'm sticking to my guns? Because I have this is going to be the next question. Has he dug too many holes for himself? Listen, I don't know Spurs inside out, but when I think of Ange Postecoglou, I think of, we play this system, this is our way, we do this, we stick to it. Usually in my second season I win trophies, and you're like, what are you saying that for? And in fairness to him, he's saying that because he wins in his second season in Japan, he wins in his second season up in Scotland. But you don't say that to the media of the Premier League, because they will literally hang on to it and choke you with it for as long as they possibly fucking can. You know what I mean? Like Ashley asked, is it stupidity or pride?
No,
I think it's more pride.
I think it's more pride. Yeah. I think it's pride. I don't think he's a stupid man, but not by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a good coach. You don't get to this level if you're not a good coach. He's the oldest manager in the Premier League. He's been around the block. He just hasn't done it on a European stage. But if to turn around and say something as silly as that in the media, I always win something in my second season. Well, that's the caveat. That's the sword. That's the hill you're going to die on now.
Yeah,
it's easy. It's a 50-50 toss-up that you'll win something at Celtic.
Yeah.
Even when Celtic are on a bad run,
yeah.
It's a 50-50 shot that you're going to win either a league or a cup.
Yeah.
But Japan, haven't the notion, haven't the clue. But for Spurs, for the outlay of money that they've pumped out, I mean, the thing is with Spurs, they're a really well-run club money-wise. Financially, they're in a really good footing, but they have started spending. Romero they got Romero for good money. Van de Ven, good money. Udogie, they got 18-20 million, I think. Madison wasn't cheap. Kulusevski wasn't cheap. Solanke, big fee. It's all well and good. They got
Brendan Johnson is 50
Brendan
million
Johnson was, yeah, exactly. Spurs have gone, you got the Harry Kane money. But that only goes so far, and you end up then in Manchester United's way of looking at it. It's very easy to go out and spend loads of money, but it's very difficult to go out and spend loads of money really well.
And it's not like it. I'm not trying to say that Spurs look massively imbalanced. I think they had
that 11 does.
That does in certain circumstance.
Oh, right? Every circumstance.
I think if you go into a game, Spurs go into a game against possibly 6 to 8 teams in the league at home, in particular. I think that lineup's fine because you're going to dominate the ball. Other teams aren't going to be interested in for the vast majority in playing through you. So you hope your physicality of your fullbacks, your centre backs, and your defensive midfielder wins the ball back, and then you play. But when you're watching that, when I'm watching that game, I'm saying to myself, lads, you have to stop. You have to do something here. Like, if I'm a Spurs fan, I'm pulling me fucking hair out watching that game. I'm absolutely irate watching this. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because I don't believe there isn't a Spurs fan out there, right, that wasn't watching that game yesterday going, please, for the love of God, bring on Basuma and take off fucking Timo Werner. Or do something. Get one of those attacking midfielders out of the middle of the pitch, put them wide, and get another guy in there.
Yeah, that's three in midfield. And I don't care what you go to Nottingham Forest with that three in the midfield. And Morgan Gibbs White is going to have fun in games. Elanga will have fun in games with that with the Madison,
Look,
Kulusevski,
yeah,
Bentancur
but
as a midfield
I'm
three.
even thinking from a Liverpool
It's
point of view.
stupidity.
I'm thinking from a Liverpool point of view. I'm thinking of Szoboszlai running off them. I'm thinking of Gravenberch dropping his shoulder in midfield and just running through the middle of them. You know what I mean? And I
And
know,
there's
and
nothing they can do to stop it.
it goes back to a DNA like you spoke of attractive football, open, attractive football. But listen, that's like, saying, oh, we play the Spurs way, we play the West Ham way, and you're like, whichever
Yeah.
fuck. Like, Liverpool's way was pass and move, pass and move. That's all gone. That's
football.
That's romanticism from years ago.
Yeah.
Liverpool had a way of playing the 70s, 80s, and into the early 90s where you passed, you moved, Football isn't like that anymore, Kev.
No.
Football's mechanical.
100%.
Football's all about finding spaces, manipulating areas that you know what I mean. You don't run at teams and go, oh, pass and move, and no one will track me. It seems a very weird situation. And
on the flip side of all of that with Spurs, massive credit to Brighton because they're not in the best run of form. New manager, really young guy as well.
Yeah, he's 31 or something.
Yeah, he's 31 years of age, and he's set this side up is really, really well balanced. You've got your two wingers, you've got your two fullbacks where one will sit, one will go. You got your centre mids who can join the attack, and you got two forwards who can link up. And they've got injury problems. You know what I mean? It's like I'm looking at the bench. You have Tariq Lamptey on the bench and Evan Ferguson on the bench that never got on.
Joe Pedro was injured as well, isn't he?
Exactly, yeah. Estupiñán come on, and Ciso come on, Weaver come on. It's like they're a good side. It just goes to show to me that Postecoglou went there with a complete lack of respect for what Brighton are capable of doing. And the fact that he went there with Pape Sarr on the bench, Yves Bissouma on the bench, and he didn't utilise them. Unless they're injured, unless they're carrying knocks, and that was the 11 he was forced to play.
Brings them on, Kev.
Yeah, I know, but he brings them on for like 10, 15 minutes at the end. And what are you bringing those players on for?
When you're 3-2 down.
When you're 3-2 down.
Yeah.
that's... I can't.
You bite the bullet then and you go, I've completely misread this. If you give him the benefit of the doubt to say these players are injured, but he still brings them on, right?
Yeah.
He should have brought them on before the second goal, right? But if you give him the benefit of the doubt, you don't bring them on then. Don't you 3-2 down with 11 minutes to go? You simply don't. No. You turn around and you say, right, I'm bringing on that young fella Moore. Isn't that his name? He's actually he's a really talented footballer. But you're saying to yourself, right, what else can I bring on? Something up front, something to move them around, anything. But Yves Bissouma isn't going to run through a midfield and score for you. Pape Sarr's going to work so fucking hard. But that's what you needed on the 58 minutes, not 79. But that's the way it is. Moving on, quickly on Arsenal and City. They both have home games. They both struggle a little bit. Fulham should have probably got something out of City.
Jesus Christ, if the Traore could play.
I know, yeah. If you could finish, you'd be fucking serious.
For fuck's sake.
You've got Arsenal.
Should have had a hat-trick.
You've got Arsenal that win, and to be honest with you, I wasn't too bothered with Arsenal winning because I think Southampton's way of looking at this league is madness, and I think it's starting to become a trend. I think you've seen it from Sheffield United going back, was not last season during the Premier League, was it? It was last season, and they just come up and went, we're not spending any money, we're just going to fucking see what happens, and they get relegated, and they fuck off with their 100 million and their parachute payment and whatever. And I think it's becoming a trend. I think Southampton are doing the same, sticking to their guns. Nobody won't stay up, and they'll go off and try to come back.
This weekend just gone is the first win for a promoted side.
Right.
So far this season.
Okay.
That's Leicester beating Bournemouth 1-0 is the first win by any of the three sides that came up.
7 games in.
7 games in. 21 games total.
Yeah, 1 game.
That's shocking.
And the thing is, like, I can partly see why they're doing it. They're coming up and they're saying, so why should we overpress ourselves to possibly not stay up? We can come up, get our money for the Premier League, spend a bit to improve, not embarrass ourselves, but with the eye of, if we go back down, these guys will stay with us and get us back up, and then we can add on again. So they're doing nearly like a double payment, hopefully over 2 seasons. And look, Arsenal win out, and Shawnee commented to me about 25 minutes into that game, and he goes, I'm watching Arsenal here, and Southampton don't want to stay in this league. It's just the way they are. City get the win, but I think it's encouraging from anyone's point of view to see that Arsenal and City can be got at. So can Liverpool, by the way.
Yeah.
Before anybody says, "Oh, you're just talking about Liverpool," but them two win. But the other game that I want to talk about is Villa United. It's 0-0. I thought it was turgid. I think it's a mix of United being United, and I think and then on top of that, a massive effort from Villa during the week against Bayern Munich. And we know that during the summer they've kind of beefed up their squad because they know this Champions League stuff's coming. It's intense, and maybe they just ran it out a bit of steam. They've a couple of players out as well, McGinn and a couple of others. But the big talking point to come out of Kev was forget the result for the minute. The big talking point to come out was the fact that Ten Hag replaces De Ligt and the other fella
Martinez
with Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, right? During the week away to Porto, and it's like these are having a fucking nightmare. Bring these two boys on. He starts them, but then at half time, right? I was laughing at this, right? So Maguire starts, and so does Johnny Evans, right? And then at half time, he brings on the lit anyway for Harry Maguire. Do you know what I mean? Johnny Evans plays the whole 90.
That's a good game. To be fair,
it was an okay game, but I think
right.
the big talking point to come out is what's he doing there with those centre halves? Because you have to remember, Martinez is his signing, De Ligt is his signing, Mazraoui is his signing, right? And he takes off Mazraoui for De Ligt, right? He takes him off. He brings on Lindelof then. He starts with them two at centre back. And I've seen United fans saying, he's trying to get himself sacked. Nonsense. He's not trying to get himself sacked. No, he's not. But what is Kev? What's he trying to achieve here?
I honestly have no clue. I mean, here's the thing, right? I watched the first half and they dominated the ball. They did a lot better in the first half than I expected them to do. Villa were leggy as anything. They, for a side who were playing at home, given the result they had in midweek, I thought they'd be more up for it. But look, I guess we have to take into account how big a result and a fixture and a night that was for the Villa. But at the same time, Manchester United, I only watched the first half. I zoned out afterward because it was just boring.
Well, someone says there, Gavin Walsh said, I slept well after watching the Villa versus United game. It was a great cure for anyone suffering from insomnia.
I think I slept from about 20 minutes to go. But it was the first half. They dominated the ball, but they construct an attack up until the final third.
Yeah.
Once they got into the final third, they don't know what to do.
Correct.
And they don't have a pattern of play or a set pattern of play that's muscle memory.
Correct.
That they can, if this is here, I need to be there. If the fullback is overlapping or underlapping, I have to tuck in on this side, or I have to make an overlapping run on the far side to get the ball in over the top. There is nothing. It's almost like we get up to here, and then Bruno Fernandes will do something, or Marcus will cut inside and do something.
Yeah, because I've said it from the start of the season, after watching them in pre-season especially, they are a football team that don't want the football. I'm convinced of it. They would rather get to within 35 yards of Villa's goal, pass it to the Villa centre half, and then hope that the Villa centre half makes some sort of fucking cataclysmic mistake that lets in one of our players to score. They have no patterns of play. They have no system to where we can get in around Villa, we can get behind them, we play across them, we play around wherever it might be. They literally get to 40 yards from the goal and then they go, what are we going to do now? And we've seen it, and this isn't me making this up. I've seen Marcus Rashford face up Trent Alexander-Arnold at Old Trafford, run towards him, turn around and pass the ball back into the centre circle. I've seen it with my own eyes. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've seen so many times where they get forward and they just turn and play it back, and it actually ends up going back to the goalkeeper who kicks it. And people are probably sick of hearing me saying this, but they literally end up back at the keeper who kicks it diagonal towards one of his fullbacks, hoping they can win a flick on down the line. They don't know what they're doing.
No,
they don't know what they're doing, and that's down to the manager, Kev.
Oh, 100%. 100% is down to the manager, and the worst of it is, he showed when he was at Ajax that he was capable of producing an attacking footballing side. I'm looking at that 11 there now, and this is mostly, that 11, that squad. There's players there that should be gone, but at the same time, I was listening to something earlier on today, and the sense of entitlement, and it's horrible. It's a horrible word to throw out there. Manchester United have had a really dominant decade and a half in my lifetime. They were shite in the 70s. They were shite in the 80s. They did not much in the 90s. And then it all clicked. It all came good. And for under Ferguson, they were brilliant. And every time you look back, it's like, we still haven't, when Ferguson left, we still haven't filled the void. And it's like, no, it goes in, football goes in cycles, but I'm looking at what they've spent and how much money, what their wage bill is. And I'm looking at the squad, and it's like, there is no quick fix in this. I don't care who your manager is. It doesn't matter whether it's Erik ten Hag, Tommy Tuchel, the other guy from Germany, someone, if he wants to brings Xavi in, you bring Xavi Hernandez in, right? Look at that squad. Can that squad play the way that Xavi Hernandez is going to want to play? Not a chance on earth. Those players are on really good money now. There isn't a hope in hell they'll be able to get them out the door. If Dalot is on good money, there is no way in God's green earth they're getting him out the door until the end of his contract. Yeah, Maguire was out the door until he wanted money, until they had to pay him off.
But the thing is,
they said, no, we can't afford to do it.
And now he's using Maguire as his way of trying to make a point to De Ligt and Martinez. And
they don't care.
You see, you talk about cycles, right? Yeah. And if you take it as a Manchester United cycle, just in the last 12 months, I've listened to Manchester United fans saying, we've a lot of injuries. He's won 2 cups. He hasn't got the players he wants. And we've heard this. This isn't me lying. This isn't making this up.
No.
We know, and you can go, and very fucking prominent people, both in the media and fan-driven media, have said all this, right? Yeah. They've said all this, and now it's like, right. So the centre half you signed in the summer, that you chased all summer and you got, he's now being made a fucking idiot of because he didn't have a good game in Porto, right? So but then he's brought on a half time for the guy you've replaced him with. Okay, so what's your fucking point, right? That's the force that the likes of that is what the problem is, right? Then you look and you say to yourself, the big thing like we dragged it on too long and Agartey didn't get started against Liverpool. Why did we do it earlier? Agartey hasn't got a minute of football in the last 2 games. He sat on the bench in the last 2 games. He sat on the bench for the last 2 games, yeah. Right, he was meant to be the man. He was playing instead of him. Casemiro and Eriksen.
Oh no! Yesterday it was Eriksen and Kobe Mainoo.
Yeah, and Casemiro's getting on the pitch.
Casemiro come on.
This is Casemiro. This is Casemiro that was honking at Old Trafford against Liverpool to the point where he was taken off at halftime and fucked off out of the ground. Yeah. But he's getting on the pitch now instead of the guy that you chased all summer. And you can go on, but you can go on about fitness and this, that, and the other with Manuel Ugarte. Manuel Ugarte is going off and playing for fucking Uruguay. He'll go and play for Uruguay.
And he'll probably play really well.
He'll play twice. So there's nothing about fitness. No. This to me is a manager that somehow has stayed in a job, being backed yet again with 150 million plus, I would reckon, in the summer, right? It might be
definitely nearly. I think it's nearly the 200 million.
Whatever it works out.
By the time you throw the Ugarte money in, yeah.
But whatever he works out at. And now what he's done is after being shy and needing 2 results to kind of prove himself, and they're 2-0 up in Porto, right? He's ridiculed the centre back, 2 of them, right? Because Lisandro Martinez doesn't get on the fucking pitch. Yes, on Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it was on, right? He doesn't go on the pitch. De Ligt is dropped and then brought on at half time. Mazroui's taken off for Victor Lindelof, who they don't want at the fucking football club.
Nope.
Okay? You've got Manuel Ugarte, who will play for Uruguay and has played at Old Trafford. He plays against Spurs. Hasn't seen a minute of football in the last week, right? And he is now sitting on the bench watching Christian fucking Eriksen playing a 2 with Kobe Mainoo, who, by the way, was on his arse against Spurs and they thought he was out for weeks. And he's watching Casemiro come on the pitch before him. You've got Marcus Rashford getting off and making comments on the fucking bench, when in truth Marcus Rashford shouldn't be starting for Manchester United. You've got Hoyland up front, who, God love him, runs around and they don't know what to fucking do with him. They've got a fella, Ahmed, who's probably been their best performing wide man this season, and he can't get in the fucking team.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane, Kev, what's going on. And when you break it down, and you listen to, we've loads of injuries, fine, let the injuries clear up. All they're missing at the moment, I think, is Lenny Yoro. Out of those sides.
Lenny Yoro and Luke Shaw are the only
Luke
two.
Shaw,
you know what I mean? But
you know,
they're the only players.
Are we going to base our whole season on Luke Shaw's fitness here? Luke Shaw didn't play football last year. Went to the fucking Euros, right? Went to the Euros and played for England and came back and hasn't been seen since.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And as a football club, why aren't Manchester United turning around and saying, you're not going to that Euros?
Yeah.
You don't have enough football in you, you're not going. Mainly was out of the England squad today, according to Ashley. But he plays yesterday after being injured against Spurs. Right? It's Kev. Listen, it's nearly like they've empowered him. They've empowered him to throw as much shit at a wall to see if anything sticks. And the big thing to come out of all this for me is Gary Neville, 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever amount of weeks ago, when Liverpool went to Old Trafford and dismantled Manchester United, and it should have been 6 or 7, right? They go there, and Gary Neville says, and I quote, Eric Ten Hag is going to have to stumble across something in the next couple of weeks to turn this around, because it's not going to come by design. Now, if that's what you think of your manager, Kev, there's no point in them being there. There's just no point. Kev's going to let out the dog. Let me read out some comments while we're there. Joe Delaney says, Mbuemo's value has skyrocketed this season. That man is on fire. Yeah, Brentford, by the way, they just keep scoring goals. And I love the fact that when they tip off, their first song they sing is, we're going to score in a minute. I did love it. Fergie done it for years, took the best players from outside the top 4 and continued to grow a bigger gap from the rest of the pack, says Dylan. Correct. But Ferguson, the thing with Ferguson is, Ferguson could adapt to what he was trying to do. Ferguson could adapt game on game. Look at any interview with Alex Ferguson and talk about him going to Anfield. He never, ever, ever went to Anfield and said, we're going to go in there and we're going to fucking show no respect to Liverpool and we're going to fucking run all over them. He never done it. He went to Anfield and he went, what are they good at? This. I'm going to nullify it. What are we good at? This. When we're going to make sure that we nullify that while pushing all our energy on what we're good at. And if we scrap one out, we scrap one out. Eric Ten Hag, right? Eric Ten Hag, for me, is a liability to Manchester United. He's an absolute and utter liability. And not only that, his bullshit has spread to a certain extent to the players. I'm not saying they're all just because of Eric Ten Hag, they're not very good. I think they've been not very good for a couple of managers. But honest to God, he's standing on that sideline. That squad are looking. That goalkeeper standing there.
The players and the manager are going like that.
Of course they are.
He's blaming him. Yeah, everyone is just blaming each other. And there's always an excuse.
Mazraoui signs and he's being taken off for Victor Lindelof. De Ligt gets dropped for Johnny Evans. Martinez gets dropped for Harry Maguire. Martinez doesn't get off the bench. De Ligt comes on then for Harry Maguire. It's absolutely mad with her.
It's crazy.
And when you look at it, now he has 2 of the top 3. I think he's the top 2 worst starts to a Premier League season for Manchester United. Him, on his own.
On his own, yeah. You got to look at it, the other side of it, right? You sack him. How are you selling that squad to a manager who's good enough to take them on? Because you look at Villa, you look at that squad that that 11 that Villa put out. And in fairness, there's no world superstars there. Emi Martinez is a top quality keeper. Matty Cash.
I'll tell you what you do, Kev. I'll tell you what you do. If a manager takes over there tomorrow, regardless who the manager is, you turn around to him and say, listen, this is the deal. Right? We are going through a complete and utter reset here. Default, a fucking restart of factory sentence. Right? And what we're going to do is, we're going to 100% guarantee you 3 years. 1,000,000% we're going to guarantee you 3 years. And any money you get off sales of these players, that's what we're going to use to rebuild this squad. We may touch it up a little bit during the summer, but we are not going 200 million a summer where we churn all these players over. Right? Now, I take your point. Who fucking takes them? Where do you get? You get money. People buy players. Trust me. People fucking buy players. You see it all the time. There's never a player left without a fucking football club, especially if they're playing for the likes of Manchester United. They all get moves, right? But What needs to happen here is Manchester United need to turn around and go, we are fucking desperate. We're terrible. We are going, what we're going to do is, this manager's coming in. We don't know if we're going to make top 4, top 6, top 8, top fucking 10, third round of the FA Cup, fourth round of the FA Cup, League Cup, Europe, anything. We are not guaranteeing fuck all. But what the only guarantee we're going to make is we are going in here and expectations have to be dropped. This manager has to be given time and we're going to back him to the fucking hilt. Right? Back him to the hilt. And if they, because 2 reasons. 1, they spend too much fucking money for their own good. Right? And 2, because they do that, players are lining up to walk into that fucking ground and go, I'll take all that money. I'll sign a 5-year deal. That fucking idiot over there be gone in 18 months. The guy that comes in won't want me, and I'll sit here going, no problem. I'm not leaving without me money. They need they bang on about the structure and the fucking people above them and Ineos and all this. Listen, Ineos have done nothing fucking different to what the Glazers have done. Absolutely nothing different. They've stuck with a manager for too long. They've spent too fucking much money on him, and there's no difference. The only difference is Ineos' name is behind it now instead of the Glazers, which is nonsense because Ineos only own 25% of the football club. The Glazers are literally using them as frontmen. It's honestly,
See,
I don't understand. I don't understand why Manchester United fans just don't go, listen, tear it all fucking down and start building again, because it's a much easier process mentally to do that than to go through the shit that you're going through at the moment.
That's what should happen. But the reality of it is they're going to be suffering massive penalty clauses in their corporate sponsorships if they don't qualify for Europe again. Their ability to be able to spend is going to be seriously harmed if they can't qualify for the Champions League or... No, forget the Europa League, because the Europa League is a hindrance. It's not for help. And they're talking about... They need a new stadium. They want the government to pay for this new stadium. And they need to get the dead wood that's at the club gone. They're refusing to swallow any of the pain for that. Hence why Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, and Luke Shaw and so on are still at the club. So as long as that is the equation, they're refusing to help themselves. It's a perpetual cycle that's just going to keep repeating and repeating and repeating until eventually those players are out of contract. All the while, you're signing the players like your Lenny Euro and bringing in Kobe Mainu and you have Ahmad and what have you. But if you're bringing them into a culture like they have now, they're screwed from the start because they're never going to learn anything the right way. Someone was saying there in the Liverpool was with Klopp when Klopp came in. One of the first things he did in his first 18 months, figured out who needed to go, got them gone, and then started bringing in players. And he didn't get it all right at the start, but you could tell from day one that there was a plan in place, who fitted, who didn't, and what the idea was at the end game. They have no concept of what an end game at Manchester United looks like.
But it's all
so
deflection,
far
Kev.
in the distance, they haven't a clue.
But it's all deflection, Kev. Like, this stadium stuff. Like, why are you talking about that? Like, is this your way of fucking going, oh, but look at this brand new stadium over here and maybe we get the government to help us build it? Why would the government build it for you? You're going to be Manchester United. They're going to be housed there all year, bar, 3 months of the fucking year, if even that, right? And you want us to fucking build it? You only own a certain amount of land here, lads. You don't own Manchester. You can't turn up and go, listen, we've all this land if you want it. They don't have it. They have fucking Old Trafford. And but this is the thing. They look at the likes of Spurs and a much bigger thing, Arsenal. When Arsenal spent all the money on the Emirates, it took them 5, 6, 7 years to get back to, an even keel with money-wise. United can build that stadium. They can build that stadium, but they're going to have to take a hit, and they're going to have to take a hit financially. If it was me, I'd say, no, lads, tell you what to do. We just fix the fucking roof, right? We just let's spend 5 million.
It needs updating.
But let's spend 5 million on the stadium.
Yeah.
Let's spend 5 million.
Do it in stages.
But Kev,
look at what we've done at Anfield.
But listen, we do it in stages and we keep the stadium open. Why can't they just turn around and go, on the 25th of May next year, when the season's over, we're going to close down Old Trafford. And the only work that's going to go on in that stadium is the pitch to keep it right, and the roof, and the bits around it, and the fucking, wherever fucking looks outdated, we're going to update it. They made a massive deal of doing a new tunnel there 6 weeks ago. But what I'm saying is, why are they, instead of looking and going, here's the issues, what can we do to sort them? What time do we need to sort them? They're turning around going, yeah, that's all shite over there, by the way, but we've a new tunnel, doesn't it look great? And we're going to fucking build this new stadium that looks like a fucking dishwasher tablet. It's, but Kev,
the flip side of it is, look, Manchester United are still a financial juggernaut. Yeah, they're still going to generate revenue, so they're fine.
Yeah, but they know their audience. They know their audience, Kev, and their audience are people that will turn around and go, we're getting a new stadium, ours we're going to have 100,000, and yours will only have 60,000, and we're going, yeah, but we're fucking winning games every week, and you're not. Yeah, but look at Old Trafford, it's going to be great. Kev, if you handed me a league title, I wouldn't give a fuck if I was playing on Anfield or Prenton fucking Park, right? Yeah. Who gives a fuck? Do you know what I mean? And the problem here is that when you talk about Manchester United, every second post is about Ineos doing this, and they're doing this right, and they're doing that right, and then and the stadium, and I'm going to go, yeah, but the two centre halves, lads, that one you call the butcher for some weird fucking reason, he must sell sausages, and the other one that just signed, you chased all summer, are being dropped for Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, lads. Can we please talk about that?
Yeah,
can we talk about it?
They can't talk about what's on the pitch. They can't talk about what's on the pitch because I'm looking at, it's the same 11 that was put out last year, bar the right back. Nothing has changed.
It's a car wreck.
It's a horrible car wreck.
I know this show has kind of been taken over a little bit by chat around sports and chat around United, but this is the whole idea of the member show around the league and stuff like that. But I honestly can't.
It's madness.
I just can't get my head around. How do you think this will work? Like, if you go back to the orange of this, he's out the door. He wins an FA Cup against a Manchester City side where we're abysmal on the day. Abysmal. You know, you get 2 decent goals and that's it, right? And he's out the door. And they go and talk to probably a half dozen managers and they can't get them to come on board. Now you wonder why. Like, if you're having De Zerbi picking Marseille over Manchester United, there's a fucking issue.
You have to look at it, right? And I just say it before we move on. Within the game, within football, you know yourself that within the management circle, within agents, they all talk. Players talk.
Yeah,
I'd love a penny for their thoughts on what they really think of what's going on there, because they must be offering really good money to go and manage Manchester United. It is still a huge club. It's still a prestigious job.
Massive.
If someone can go in there and get it right, you're set for life as being one of the top managers in the world. You will be ranked up there with the likes of Ancelotti and everyone else. If you can turn Manchester United around and get them winning,
if
you're made.
If manager A turns up at Old Trafford tomorrow and has an identical 8 to 9 years that Jurgen Klopp has at Liverpool, you're made. But 100%, because I know old school Manchester United fans, and they just went because they enjoyed it. There's no enjoyment in it anymore. Like, they win trophies on, but they enjoyed it. They enjoy going to watch Manchester United. You're made if you do that. But the problem is, Kev, right? We are sitting here with a monstrous football club, right? That are literally putting out Sir Jim Ratcliffe as a front man for the Glazers. Nothing has changed. They have a manager that's now spent north of 600 million quid, and he's literally left with fucking Ajax players that couldn't get games in other fucking countries. That's what you're left with. You're left with Marcus Rashford that shouldn't be at the club probably 2 or 3 years. You're left with Christian Eriksen, God love him, he's aging. He shouldn't be having to be asked to run a 2-man midfield. No. You've got Kobe Mainoo, who's being played into the fucking ground because of what everything else that's around him. You know what I mean? You can talk stadiums and you can talk how big they are and the money they have and the attraction they are, but at the bare bones of it, Kev, this is Manchester United with this fella in charge doing this on the fucking pitch and continuously making these decisions. If they'd any balls, they would have turned around him and went, fair play to you for the FA Cup, but we don't feel this is going to work. We've gone off and we've got manager fucking A, B or C, and he's coming in and we're going to give him that fucking money. We're going to give him that money, and we're going to draw up a plan. But look at it, Kev. Kev, who's turning down Manchester United? Why are you turning down Manchester United when they're nearly promising you 200 million quid that summer?
It's crazy. That's why I look at it. The people who are working within the game must know how much of a shit show it is behind the scenes. The dressing rooms. We hear bits and bobs about what comes out of the dressing room. The fact that, look, the players, that dressing room has sacked plenty of managers over the years.
Yeah.
And there's plenty in there guilty of it. Downing tools. There's no work rate in there. There's no initiative. There's no ingenuity. There's nothing in there that sparks and says, yeah, no matter what happens, I can hang my hat on this guy. When we're in the trenches, this guy is the one I can hang my hat on, and he will drag us through it.
No.
Not a single one.
No, because there's too many
every
players
top
there.
club has to have one.
There's too many players there now across multiple managers that had set in and they just go, oh, here's another fucking fella in the door now, and this is fucking, and I'll just get another contract and whatever else, right? But the funny thing is, I'm well of the belief that if you bring in a policy at Manchester United that they don't spend over 35 million on any individual player for the next 10 signings, they could actually turn that club around for a net of about 200 million quid.
I scroll back to looking at that Villa lineup. Ollie Watkins, Rodgers, Bailey, Barkley, Tillemans. I have never heard of the guy who played on the wing. No idea who he is.
No.
And I'm sat there. Aston Villa should finish in the top four if they can manage their way through Europe. They have spent peanuts in comparison to what Manchester United have done. The difference is the manager in the dugout.
Yeah.
But if people take the piss out of his accent and what have you, but I tell you what, he is a proper coach. He's a proper manager.
But if you look, I honestly think that they need to do a policy where they go, let every agent out there know and every club out there know, if we want a player, we're not paying over 35 million for him, and we're not giving a fella over 150 grand a week on top of that. By the way, that's it. And what we're going to do is, until we get rid of these players over here, we feel we can. If you could take 7 out of that United squad, bring 7 in, and I reckon you could probably do it for around 120 million quid, right? While reducing your wage bill. There's no way you can't do that. If you have 7 players at 30 million, that's 155 million, I think, right? 155 million, 145 million. And then you sell 7 at 15 million a go. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's 105 million. So 40 or 50 million, you can actually turn over 7 players in that squad that can change the whole outlook of it. Hungrier players coming in, looking to get their next contract over Manchester United, where they get 200 to 250 grand because they're actually doing the job. But they refuse to do it. They continue to keep players that fucking waffle on out of them every fucking week. And then the manager as well. Listen, leave them to it.
They're done
I didn't mean to get into such a big chat about them, but again, I said about Spurs earlier.
I said they've done no favours either by their ex-players in the media coming out and wrapping the Manchester United blanket around the squad and insulating them. The idea that Gary Neville would turn up in his podcast and turn around and say, I think Manchester United will finish above Liverpool this season.
Yeah, based on
the strength of what? It's the same midfield.
On nothing.
It's the same midfield.
No, he's letting his heart rule his head.
Of course he is.
That's what it is. You know what I mean?
But they're not helped.
They're not.
They're doing a disastrous job with him.
Yeah, but look, anyway, I didn't mean that to turn into fucking half an hour of Manchester United, but it is a big talking point. Easy. It is a big talking point.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, just quickly before we go, because I want to get out of here because I'm not well. This stuff that came out today, with regards to the Premier League, Man City. You know, I've seen Man City fans rejoicing. We beat the Premier League. We're going to sue them. I've seen Newcastle fans following this up. Oh, we're going to spend big now. Man City have turned over the Premier League. And, you know, it's hilarious because Newcastle, before they had this, before Saudi Arabia owned them, were probably like looking at City going, this is fucking desperate what's going on. But now, you know, principles and stuff don't matter. But both sides seem to be claiming a bit of victory here. The rules that are in place are considered unlawful. Okay, so it's not like it's going to be ripped asunder and started again. I don't think that's the case. I think what's going to happen here is that there has to be slight adjustments to how it's processed to make it lawful, right? So it's not like, we want to get 500 million off Etihad. No, you can't have that. Oh, well, that's unlawful. I don't think that's the way it's going to be,
No.
right? Ashley's going to type it or put in the statement from the Premier League now in a second for us, and I'll read it.
Yeah.
But Kev, again, certain parts of the media storing this up as Man City have taken down the Premier League, and then interest-free loans from clubs that never have to be paid back, and that's an issue, and Arsenal could be in trouble, blah, 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 blah. It feels a bit like someone's blown this up, where it's... Because last week they decided not to vote on these rules at the Premier League meeting because obviously there was
This was coming.
But like the Premier League says, the Premier League welcomes the Tribunal's findings, which endorsed overall objectives, framework and decision-making of the APT system. The Tribunal upheld the need for the APT system as a whole and rejected the majority of Manchester City's challenges.
Yeah.
So
you'd never have got that from the statement that Man City put out earlier at the start of all of this. Ultimately, from what my reading of all of this is, there's two aspects of...
Oh, sorry, I'll just finish.
Yeah,
the Tribunal sorry, actually just throwing them in here. The Tribunal did, however, identify a small number of discrete elements of the rules which do not, in their current form, comply with competition and public law requirements. These elements can quickly and effectively be amended by the league and clubs.
Yeah. Whether the clubs and league will actually vote to do that is another question, because by all accounts, the clubs that stood as witness for or provided witness statements for Man City today were Chelsea and Newcastle. By all accounts, Liverpool, Manchester United, Spurs, Arsenal, Bournemouth, West Ham, others were all on the opposite side. They need to... Apparently, it's just 2 or 3 amendments need to be made to the current setup to close off some of these loopholes. You cannot have a situation where shareholders of a football club can arbitrarily loan the football club interest-free, whatever amount of money they want, on the never, and no date that it has to be paid back. That cannot happen. That cannot be allowed to happen.
And apparently, Arsenal are... Now, I don't know the ins and outs of this, but apparently Arsenal could be in trouble if this starts. By the way, Ashley adds that Everton were one of the sides that stood alongside Manchester City in this as well, which is fucking
the People's Club.
Honestly, like these people can't be that fucking stupid. Like, do you know what I mean? They cannot be that. Listen, Everton, right, as a football club, right, when they were going to be, they were a billionaire owners, and they were going to be all this, and they were going to be all that, and then all of a sudden, the Premier League have stopped us from becoming the next Man City, right? And then when they actually worked out that your man Mashiri is a gobshite, right, and was fucking throwing money around, all based on Usmanov, then they realised, fuck, we're in trouble, we're getting points deduction, and the first words out of their mouth, right, was, but what about Man City? What about all the stuff they've done? And they're getting nothing done to them. And we're getting points taken off. And everything are now going, yeah, we actually agree with Man City. Are they off their fucking bracket or what? Do you know what I mean? But, Kev, listen, when it comes down to this, first of all, people need to remember, this has nothing to do with the 115 charges to do with City. What City are arguing here is that if they want to get a sponsorship deal through an affiliate of the owner of the football club, they should be allowed to. That's not allowed. Right? Because what can happen is, it's not allowed, Kev. What can happen is, the guy from Abu Dhabi turns around and says, right, grand, I own Man City and I own Etihad. So what I'm going to do is, I have 500 million burning a hole in me fucking, under me mattress here. I'm going to put it through Etihad to sponsor Manchester City. The fair and market value thing still stands. Right,
that's one of their problems. That's one of the problems that City has.
Yeah, but the fair market. Listen, Man City claim to earn the most money in the world of football. Nonsense, right? Nonsense. But anyway, Man City can't turn around tomorrow and go, Real Madrid get 100 million quid off. I think Emirates might actually sponsor Real Madrid. Emirates do, right?
Yeah, well, they used to.
Right. So say for argument's sake it's Emirates, right? They can't turn around and go, Real Madrid get 100 million quid. They're the biggest club in the world, right? But we're getting 300 million because we make more money than them. How much more money do you make? Well, according to our accounts, we probably make about 20 million a year more. So that 5-year deal, you earn 100 million more than Real Madrid over 5 years, but you think you're going to earn 3 times what Real Madrid should from a thing. There is a fair market value, but Kev, there is small amendments to be made here. It's not going to be a case of Newcastle turning around going, that's it, we can spend whatever we want. It's simply not that.
No, it's not. Look, I mean, from what I can gather with this is you've got a situation now where Man City, basically, from what my reading of it, Man City wanted information from the Premier League's Black Book. The Premier League have a data book of what commercial deals are done because all of the clubs have to submit what a deal is over a certain value. So they know. But what Man City wanted is access to that. There is no way in God's earthly world that you could have Manchester City allowed to know the ins and outs of Liverpool's kit sponsors deal or Liverpool's or Manchester United's stadium deals or anything like that. There has to be some kind of secrecy involved in these deals, but that's one of the avenues that the Premier League are going to have to work around. But ultimately, the Premier League is seen as like, okay, you bring your deal to us, we'll decide if it's fair market value or not. But Man City's argument is, well, how do we know what fair market value is?
Yeah.
And that's where the two bridges have to be able to work out a deal. And it is kind of fair because it's all well and good for...
No, I've no problem with the Premier League having to show why it's not
exactly.
I've no issue with that. Like
this
isn't the case of the Premier League are all fucking conquering and they're not. And you know, it's far from it. What I'm saying is that you can't have the owner of Man City or the owner of Newcastle. They're allowed to put a certain amount of money in.
Mm-hmm.
They're allowed over a 3-year period. They're allowed to put a certain amount of money in. But you can't have them turn around and going, I own companies A, B, and C. And then next of all, A, B, and C come along and go, we're going to sponsor you £1 billion over the next 5 years between the three of us. You can't have that, Kev.
That won't be allowed. That
you
won't
can't
be allowed.
not have that. Because that's not sponsorship, Kev. That's literally your owner just finding a third party to put the money through. And
the other
interest among Kev is the interest-free loans. Because because what's happening there is that I think when teams get an injection of money through an no interest loan, right, there has to be structure to it. So, you know, if Arsenal or Liverpool, let's take Liverpool, because if I mention another club's name, people will fucking lose their rag. But say Liverpool take 100 million loan off FSG, right? Yeah. Or an affiliate of FSG. What's meant to happen there is for you to service your books properly, you have to tell them, listen, we took out 100 million over 10 years at 5% APR. This is what we're going to pay back, and this is what goes into our books every year as an expense, right? Okay? Yeah. And that goes against what you're allowed to spend. But if you're in there going, there's no time frame of that 200 million, so or 100 million, what we're going to do is we're not going to put it in the books this year. Right? We're not going to put it in the books. Yeah? We are going to put it in as 200 million. Yeah? And next year we're going to say we owe 200 million. Right? That's how much we're getting in. So either way, if you have no structure on that, you can actually get away with, you know, declaring what you owe or what you're paying out on that. Do you get me? Because it's a never-ending tale.
Yeah, you can't have that.
You could turn around and say there's 200 million. How many years are you paying that over? 200.
Yeah. Can you imagine walking into your bank and go, yeah, I'd like an interest-free loan, please. For how much? 100 grand. When are you going to pay us back? Sometime now, maybe later.
Yeah.
And you'll get it back eventually.
But the thing is, Kev, if I go and take a loan out, right? If I run a company, I take a loan out for 100 grand. When it comes to the end of the financial year, I have to declare what I owe and what I'm paying on that, right? Yeah. I have to declare what I'm paying on that, because the reason being is because if I earn 100 grand this year, right, and I turn around and go, well, I'm not paying all the tax on that 100 grand. Why not? Well, I'm paying out this loan. That would go against what I'm earning. Do you know the sort of way?
Yeah.
That goes against that. But if you're fucking just pushing it down the road, yeah, you can just keep claiming that you're paying for that every fucking year for the next rest of your life. And in turn, you're not paying tax or you're not paying whatever. Apparently, Arsenal's name is being thrown in the mix for this because shareholders and others have put in tax-free or interest-free loans, and they're not bookended. So
Yeah,
it's a bit
we'll
of a
see
weird.
where it goes. But I mean, I know that we've borrowed money from FSG to build certain sections of Anfield, especially with the overspend that we had on the last build
Anfield Road end. Yeah.
to get it finished.
But you
But
see, ours are interest-free
ours are
loans,
yeah,
but
but they're in the account.
they're over a certain amount of time, and they're
Yeah,
not actually interest-free. What they are is FSG don't want anything more than the 10 million back, but inflation dictates. Inflation dictates that if that goes up 0.25%, if you're paying FSG 50 grand or 100 grand a month, you're now paying them 105 grand a month or whatever it might be, right? And we won't go into percentages right now, but that's inflation dictates. So it's interesting, but I still think there's way too much being made of this. Like this is
it's
literally like
almost
when
as
you
if
come
there's
to
an
it.
international break.
It's exactly, and it's like an AGM comes along and they go, any other business, yeah, well, listen, I run the fucking, I buy all the equipment for the office there, and I'm kind of spending 100 quid a month on staples, and I'm only getting 80 quid back, and what's the story? And they go, well, what the fuck are you doing with 100 quid worth of staples? Well, that's the many we need. Okay, well, listen, we're gonna have to close that off, and we're gonna have to put a limit on the staples, and everyone knows where they stand. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
much.
basically what
But
it is.
in fairness, you just have to hope that cases like this win, and there is a win in there for Man City, no doubt about it. You just hope that this isn't something that I know it doesn't affect the 115 charges. It's nothing to do with it. It's a completely separate case, completely different time frame. But if they were able to find the loopholes in that, then you wonder how many loopholes there could have been in the old rules. That
Maybe, absolutely,
this,
maybe so, but
we
you have to,
don't know. We
but you
just
have
don't
to
know.
remember, right? You have to remember, this isn't about me or Man City or the Premier League going, I don't agree with what you said there, and well, I think this. What's actually that being charged with is you put fucking money into that club. You didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wouldn't comply, and you wouldn't help us out. So many of the charges about them is avoidance.
But
Do you know
avoidance
what I mean?
and
So
information.
yeah, it's completely it's madness.
It's complete. Yeah,
Um,
it is.
Everton in the worst shape of them all, 450 million in debt to their creditors, 777 and others. And the problem there is that if somebody comes in and gives them a loan and says, pay off that loan and then you can pay me whenever you want, that's where there's an issue.
Yeah,
There has to be a structure on what you're paying back so it can go into your accounts every year and reflect exactly where you are.
you
Not just
wonder
kicking
how
it down the line.
you wonder how much a case like this today might affect the sale of Everton going forward. If that
Well, it's still not
avenue,
happened.
it's no, but it's apparently it's not far off. It's you
Well,
might,
it has
well,
to be done. It has to be done by the 1st of November,
yeah. From according to
I think,
the
or
pod,
maybe the 30th of November.
yeah, according to the pod I was listening to, the finance guys, they were basically saying this guy put 200 million in to Everton, and then it looked like he was walking away. And their
Yeah,
argument was, you do not put 200 million into a football club and walk away. They're in it for the long haul. They're not going to
yeah, but you see,
walk
Kev,
away from this club.
you have to remember, they put 200 million into that football club, and what did the 200 million do? It took the hold of MSP, who are another creditor, right? It took the hold from them where they couldn't claim a share of these shares and they couldn't claim 50% of the stadium. So what they done there was they went in and they went, there's 200 million. We'll make X amount back in it at the very least, right? But if we ever do want to go back in and buy the club, we don't have to worry about another party laying claim to that stadium on that debt.
Yeah, that's vital for whoever comes in to buy. And look, and I hope that somebody does come in to buy them.
Well, they will get bought, but the
Yeah,
problem, the biggest problem they have at the moment is that they literally have an owner that if he comes in by the 30th of November, he has 30 days to assess, and then he has 30 days to actually make a difference to the football club,
yeah,
or else they're going down.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
it.
they're getting. They're. I watched the game at the weekend. I watched bits of it, and I reckon he might be able to string enough points to fight relegation. Whether he's got enough in there to stay up is another matter. It depends on how bad some of the others are.
Southampton are
But
going down, and Ipswich are going
others
down.
are.
It's
Some
just
of the
one of
others
those
are
where
bad.
can Everton be fourth from bottom?
Yeah. Can Everton be the fourth worst side in the league?
Yeah,
they can.
that's what it is. And he has 30 days to affect that. That's all he has.
It's massive.
And does he throw the money at it? Because if he throws 40 or 50 million at it in January to try to get them out, and it doesn't work, he has a championship club that has 450 million quid in debt, plus 50 million they spent in the summer, and they're not getting all that back because the players will fuck off and they go for nothing. But that's a story for another day. I must get Dave down there to have a chat about him.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I've really enjoyed that, Kev.
Yeah, it was
just
good
gave
crack.
out every club in the league.
We're just before we go. Has there been a side this season so far that you gone? Didn't expect that.
No, I think this league is taking shape kind of quickly.
Yeah, that's,
you know, I think bar probably Wolves and Palace. Seeing them down there, I think it's taking shape. Like when you look at the likes of Brentford, are mad, but they always are. When you look at Bournemouth, they'll win one week, they'll lose the next. You look at Spurs, we've spoken about them. United are where they are, but when you look at it, I'm surprised Chelsea have taken up that many points because I thought they were an absolute mess. But your man Maresca seems to be constantly talking about how calm it is within the football club. Literally like he's hoping that someone doesn't start a fire under him or set fire to fucking something in that football club, because it's well known that the two owners are not getting on with each other, and that could blow up at any time. Ashley says Fulham and Forest. Yeah, in fairness, Forest have been very good.
Yeah.
They're a bit of a basket case, but they seem to be settling down now into a more settled sort of side that kind of know what they're at. And you'll get that from Espirito Santo. You get it, and they get to a certain level, and maybe that certain level is where Forest kind of strive to be. Forest is maybe a good shout, but overall, when I look at the teams, they're kind of, bar a couple, they're kind of where I thought they'd be. You know what I mean? That's what I thought.
I thought the Fulham Man City game was really interesting because for the first time in a while, you saw a side that just went at City with pace. And I think the fact they're missing Rodri this season, it's still early in the season, and the players still are fit, and there's still plenty of energy there. But I think this is going to be a huge test for Pep Guardiola this season. It could be his last season as well.
It will be.
But I think this is going to be his biggest test. If he's to win the league this season without Rodri, with that squad, unless they invest in January, it'll be a massive achievement because that squad does have issues.
I've said it since Rodri was confirmed out for the season. I make Arsenal heavy favourites for this title.
They have no excuses.
I think
they have all the tools there. They have all the tools there to win it.
I agree. I think the situations for our Man City, both with the 115 charges, the uncertainty over Pep Guardiola's future, Rodri, that mix there. I think with Liverpool, I think Liverpool's squad is as good as Arsenal's, but I think this guy's been on Arsenal 4 or 5 years now. He's absolutely bet into them what he wants to be done. He's weird, but he's bet into them what he wants done. He's bought as many centre-backs as he possibly could to make them as solid as he possibly can, and hopes the rest do it. The only thing is he might run them into the ground a little bit. With the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Jesus isn't around enough, and if they get a couple of midfield injuries like they've had with Odegaard, I think they struggle a little bit. I think one more on top of that. But overall, with the situations all the clubs are in, where they find themselves off the back, and what they've done over the last couple of seasons, Arsenal have to be favourites for the title. And does that go? They weren't favourites last year, they weren't favourites the year before, and they didn't get it done. They'll either thrive on it, or they won't. And I always say it, right? I always say it. I think Arsenal might prefer Man City to run them this season, because I have a feeling that Liverpool will get into Arsenal's head very fucking quickly in this Premier League season.
Oh yeah, the fan base would.
Because Arsenal feel like an emotional wreck every fucking game, and Liverpool do a bit of a 13-14 on it, where we just go, this is the fucking business, isn't it? And we just go off having the best of times,
Yeah.
and whatever happens, happens, and we just
Yeah.
ride a wave and see where we get to. Now, we don't want to be there like that in a year's time. We want to be in, start of October next year going, we're a well-established side now. We've added one or two. Everyone knows how we play, boom, 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 boom. But right now, I think
we're figuring ourselves out.
We're figuring ourselves out, but it might be a little bit of an advantage to us. Arsenal definitely have the advantage with the fact that Rodri's their closest competitors, City, have lost their most influential player, in my opinion. And their second most influential player isn't getting on the pitch enough. I just think I'd love to see it, because look, I've said it before. If Liverpool don't win the league and there's anyone on Man City up there, I want the anyone to win. I've always said that, right?
And me.
But if I'd love to see turning into February, March, and Liverpool and Arsenal going at it, because I just have a feeling we'd have the crack, and they would be all over
crack.
the fucking place.
I would be, yeah.
Gavin says Arsenal are better chasers than being chased. They'll bottle it every
Don't
year.
know.
If top being chased, they've improved season on season, but they've improved season on season with the thing in the back of their mind that it's Man City. I wonder if they were to get 5, 7, 8 points clear of City, how they would go. I think they'd be fine. But I think if you throw Liverpool into that mix, Liverpool are a different beast. They're a different beast. They're a little bit like, and people will come back and go, well, they didn't win against Man City. But Man City fucking would take anyone but Liverpool chasing them, because they know Liverpool will just keep going and have the crack. It's interesting, but I wouldn't write anything off this season. I think there's holes in everybody, and it's just whoever can cover them up the best. That's where I am. Right, can we go?
Gerald Kwanzaa contract.
Yeah, looks like it's done.
Dusted.
Yeah.
That's done apparently. And Kanate, next one along the.
Yeah, and that's going to lead to, oh look, we're getting these two tied down because the other fella's not fucking signing them.
Apparently, the Kwanzaa deal, they started talking to Kwanzaa in June.
Yeah.
So it's not as if like, oh look, he's doing really well. He's in the first team squad. Here, sign that bit of paper there, boy, will you?
Yeah.
These deals take time.
I do think it's getting to the stage though where it's getting too late to get a positive out.
I think this international break.
Now, Arne Slot apparently was quoted as saying, "We hope to have some news on those contracts." During
I think you need
after the international break. Now, I don't know if that actually happened, but I thought I read that somewhere. But
I doubt it did, to be honest. I think either way, a decision should be made public. Look, a decision will come, but I think that decision needs to come for the club to know. We don't need to know, but the club need to know whatever way the wind is blowing by November, because they need to start planning it for January.
Yep, 100%. Right, let's get out of here. We were meant to do 45 minutes. We've now done an hour and 12. Of course we fucking have.
You're fucking terrible.
We will have shows during the week. We're juggling fucking balls at the minute as to what way we're going to do the shows this week. We are waiting on somebody to send us 50 questions. So Emma can ask me and that fella Alan from Leash. Was it Leash? Limerick?
Both.
We're going to try to get him on, and we're going to see if we can get through those questions. We are going to do something along the lines of a little bit of like a mid-term report on Liverpool throughout this week as well, and then we'll have some random stuff as well. Sure, why not? But thanks again to everyone for watching. Thanks for being members, and continuing to support us. If you have any friends that want to become members, let them know about it, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks to Kev as well. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.